Coming up, a 70s classic, the sing-along. You gotta dance to it whenever it comes on the radio. Compelled by a burning desire to put the spirituality and history of their ancestry in the forefront of their music, the band featured in this episode risked commercial acceptance, disregarded music industry conventionalism, and scored the first major pop hit by a group entirely made up of Indigenous Americans. The inspiring story of this classic 70s hit is coming up next on Professor of Rock. Hey music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you feel like it could always use a little more cowbell.
Fellas, it was sounding great, but I could have used a little more cowbell.
Subscribe below right now so that you get our latest interviews and videos. Come and get your love. The addictive, feel-good invigorator from 1974 made Redbone the first band comprised of Indigenous Americans to bust the top 5 on the Billboard Hot 100, first time in history. Redbone was an interesting mix of Mexican-American and Indigenous American heritage, which was proudly represented in their unique music. And prominently displayed in their live concert performances where band members wore colorful native attire such as moccasins, buckskin, and beaded headbands on stage. The band was formed in 1968 by the Vasquez brothers, Pat and Lolly, who changed their surname to Vegas at the prompting of legendary artist-manager Bumps Blackwell. Now, Pat and Lolly were in expert hands with Blackwell. I mean, he was the man recognized for navigating the careers of Little Richard and Sam Cooke. I asked my friends about her, but all they did was type Lucy. Oh, to my brother. And discovering the untapped greatness of a future virtuoso by the name of Quincy Jones. I wanna be a movie star. Now, this all started in the suburbs of Fresno, California, where the Vasquez brothers cut their teeth as a teenage singing duo performing R&B and pop covers at clubs in the area. Pat, the younger of the Vasquez boys, he won Coca-Cola's first national singing competition. This was in 1958. He did that at age 17. Part of the grand prize by winning the contest was receiving a recording contract. But he put that on hold to remain, side by side with his big brother. Now, the following year, 1959, Pat and Lolly took their act to Los Angeles and became a fixture on the famed Sunset Strip and officially changed their last name to Vegas. The duo performed consistently at local clubs on Hollywood Boulevard, also Sunset Boulevard, while writing and playing on records by luminaries like Tina Turner, James Brown, there were Sonny and Cher, Little Richard, and the king himself, Elvis. Perhaps the most eventful shows on the Sunset Strip that the brothers performed back in those early days was when they were the opening act for the provocative stand-up comedian Lenny Bruce. So Pat and Lolly opened for Lenny Bruce for 2 weeks, and during several of those engagements, of course, Lenny Bruce was arrested in the middle of his routine for using excessive profanity on stage, and he was taken off in handcuffs, went to jail.
Take it easy, Buster. Let's not get out of line. It's just a little joke now. Bust your ass!
The brothers were both great singers and proficient at several instruments. Pat was a superb bassist, and Lolly dazzled his peers with his prowess as a great guitarist. It seemed logical that they should further their talents and wide-ranging musical interests and create a totally new act with a fresh, distinctive sound. Pat revealed that it was an exciting emerging artist by the name of Jimi Hendrix, who was part Cherokee, that inspired the brothers to do something that had never been done before: assemble an all-Native American rock band. In the late 60s, Pat and Lolly let their hair grow really long, and they formed a group called the Crazy Cajun Cakewalk Band. Their original drummer was Ed Green, later one of the top session drummers in Hollywood. You may have heard of him. Tony Bellamy was recruited for rhythm guitar, and Peter Last Walking Bear DePoe, he replaced Green on drums. Bellamy was Mexican-American with Navajo descent. DePoe came from Cheyenne roots, and Pat and Lolly celebrated their Yaqui, Shoshone heritage that originated in the area known as Sonora, Mexico. The nucleus was set to rally their plan to establish an all-Native American rock band that combined physical sensuality, primitive energy, and spiritual purpose. They decided to call the reshaped ensemble Redbone. That was a Cajun term that means a person of mixed race. It was the perfect name for the band to honor their respective ancestry and showcase their pride for where they came from. Like a good bowl of gumbo, Redbone cooked up a spicy blend of ingredients. I mean, a dose of Louisiana swamp pop, a battering of thumping percussion, and a splash of Big Easy rhythm and blues. The music of Redbone was really distinguished in large part by Lolly's innovation as one of the first guitarists to incorporate the Leslie rotating speaker effect in his electric guitar amplification setup. Lolly's guitar playing was often improvised, varying his approach with elements of jazz and rock and funk. The ultimate compliment to Lolly was paid by Jimi Hendrix himself. He was quoted as calling Lolly Vegas his favorite guitarist, one of his biggest influences. The Redbone sound was also characterized by dramatic drumming, a style developed by Peter DePoe. DePoe described his drumming technique as the King Kong beat. Redbone was signed by Epic Records in 1969, and they released their self-titled debut in 1970. The band's third LP, Message from a Drum, that produced their breakthrough single, The Witch Queen of New Orleans. The Witch Queen of New Orleans is a song about a 19th century voodoo queen from New Orleans named Marie Laveau. The tune with its catchy Marie Marie La Voodoo Vo, the chorus, that was written by Pat and Lolly with lead vocals performed by brother Pat. Marie Marie La Voodoo Vo, she'll put a spell on you. The Witch Queen of New Orleans climbed to the top of the pop chart in Belgium and almost reached the pinnacle in the UK singles chart, set out at number 2. It was a top 10 hit throughout Europe, and it peaked at number 21 on the Billboard Hot 100 in November of 1971. As we jump into Redbone's signature hit, I do want to thank our sponsor, Zenni Eyewear, that helps to make this possible. Zenni is always adding deals and discount codes to their website at zenni.com. Currently, you can get back-to-school deals for your family when buying multiple pairs of glasses. Go to zenni.com to design your dream frames today and check out their deals. Redbone's fourth album, Already Here, that came out in 1972, but the two singles from the record, Phase Deux and Poison Ivy, failed to chart. The fifth album, though, was pivotal for Redbone. It proved to be their opus, artistically, conceptually, and commercially. Once again, Redbone made a statement of purpose with the title of the record. The album was titled Wovoka, reflecting the band's earnest desire to bring their indigenous history to the forefront. Wovoka was named after the Paiute spiritual leader of ghost dance, a ceremonial circle dance meant to reunite the spirits of the dead to fight for the spirits of the living. Now, the first single from Wovoka was one of the most personal and emotional songs ever recorded by Redbone. But Epic Records felt the theme of the song was far too controversial. Now, the song I'm referring to is We Were All Wounded at Wounded Knee, about the 1890 Battle of Wounded Knee in South Dakota, where nearly 300 Lakota people were massacred by soldiers of the U.S. Army. Now, despite the extraction of the track from U.S. distribution because the label thought it was too offensive, the single had pockets of huge success in Europe. We Were All Wounded at Wounded Knee went to number 1 in Belgium and also went to number 1 in the Netherlands. Instead of leading with controversy, though, the first single from Wovoka in America was a big departure from really anything Redbone had ever done before. It was an incredibly irresistible pop ditty with lyrics by Lolly Vegas called Come and Get Your Love. The song was originally recorded as a demo. Lolly labeled his composition as Hell after the Hell call and response in verse 1. Hail is Lolly's greeting or cheer of endearment to his lover, who is full of self-doubt, perhaps questioning her looks, her social status. Lolly lovingly tells her that she doesn't need to change anything about her. To him, she is perfect just the way she is. Hail, nothing the matter with your head. Baby, find it. Hail with it, baby, because you're fine and you're mine, and you look so divine. The chorus is really Lolly encouraging his lover to take what she deserves. But it's also a straight-ahead message to people from all different ethnicities and backgrounds to come together to obtain pure love. The line, get it from the main vine, that was heard in verse 2 and verse 3 is often misheard as get it from the main line. Those who misinterpreted it as line instead of vine thought it was a reference for drug use. However, Lolly wrote that line as a counter to the outbreak of chemical stimulants of the late 60s and 70s. Instead of getting your kicks from some sort of contraband or pills, get it from the main vine that connects people with the natural medicine of love from Mother Earth. Now, earlier in this episode, we spoke about Lolly Vegas's innovative use of the Leslie organ speaker. Lolly's electronic creativity is most prolifically demonstrated on Come and Get Your Love. On the recording of the track, Lolly produced the distinctive distorted guitar riff through the Leslie speaker, and his use of the sitar was just melodic brilliance. All four band members contributed to the sing-along enchantment of Come and Get Your Love. It just lifts you up every time you hear it. Pat, Tony, and Peter, they backed up Lolly's lead vocal, and the band enlisted the glorious voice of coveted singer Sherry Williams to create an even bigger choir of joyful euphoria. Beyond his instrumental ingenuity, Lolly demonstrated his gift for vocal improv on Come and Get Your Love. I love the way that Lolly delivers an extra ounce of pleading, when he sings the verses in what I call a subtle howl. And Lolly's unique form of the scatting and the repetitive vamp in the conclusion of the extended album version is wildly cool. The piano and vibraphone parts on Come and Get Your Love were played by one of the all-time jazz greats, the late Joe Sample. Come and Get Your Love was a big fat smash. I mean, it went to number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100. It actually finished as the 4th biggest song of 1974 on the year-end countdown. In 2014, the song had a massive resurgence due to clever placement in the opening scene of Marvel studio movie Guardians of the Galaxy. That's where everybody, the young generation, found it. Come and Get Your Love was one of those pop treasures that was dubbed on the mixtape for Peter Quill, the film's hero. Quill, portrayed by Chris Pratt, dances around while listening to the song through headphones from a Walkman as he explores a dark alien territory. The song was included on the film's soundtrack that was the number 1 album in the U.S. for several weeks in 2014. I think that's actually the biggest selling album of that year. Following year, Come and Get Your Love was used as a theme song for the sitcom F is for Family on Netflix. In 2021, the song was used in season 1 of the Hulu series Reservation Dogs as the closing number for every episode. The track was also in the movie The Postman starring Kevin Costner in 97, Dick in 99, and Adam Sandler's flick Grown Ups in 2010.
Come and get your love. You don't know? I don't know.
The German dance group Real McCoy scored a number 19 hit in the UK and the US with their remake in 1995. That version also reached the top of the US dance chart. Redbone put out 3 more albums after the commercial apex of Wovoka. Beaded Dreams Through Turquoise Eyes, that came in 1974, Circles in 77, and Peace Pipe in 2005. Although the band was unable to match the mainstream popularity they achieved on Come and Get Your Love, the impact of Redbone is significant in the annals of the rock era beyond that timeless phenomenon. Redbone was inducted into the Native American Music Association Hall of Fame in 2008. They were also honored in Fresno on a huge painting that is recognized as one of the largest murals in the United States. That happened in 2013. It was probably a really bittersweet moment for Pat Vegas when he was given the Lifetime Achievement Legend Award at the West Coast American Indian Music Awards in 2014. I say bittersweet because Pat's older brother and lifetime collaborator, Lolly, was not present to share the award with his beloved sibling. Lolly died in his sleep at his home in Reseda, California 4 years earlier. It was in 2010 at the age of 70. Lolly's health severely declined in 1995 after he suffered a stroke. A few years before his death, Lolly was diagnosed with lung cancer, and he battled it as long as he could. Tony Bellamy passed away in 2009 from liver failure. Peter DePoe left Redbone during the making of Wovoka. Arturo Perez handled drums for a short time before Butch Rillera. He took over the role from there on. Disillusioned by the music business, he departed from the band in 75. Brother Pat continues to lead the legacy that he and his brother started more than 60 years ago, waving a banner of spirituality and cultural pride. Based on the art of Brent Learned, Frank Buffalo Hyde, and George Levi Curtis, Redbone dropped a music video of Come and Get Your Love for the first time in 2020. It's an animated piece that depicts an Indigenous American traversing through a shifting landscape where he encounters various political, social, and current events along his journey. Come and Get Your Love. Gosh, how do you put this into words? It's just the sweetest piece of ear candy ever. Producing a total brain workout that only an Infectious pop song can provide. All the elements for neurological stimulation are there. Listening to Redbone's Come and Get Your Love can reduce anxiety, can lower your blood pressure, sharpen mental alertness, improve sleep quality, and soothe any bodily pain. My favorite use of Come and Get Your Love in pop culture is that foreign cell phone ad that they did some years ago. I can't show the whole thing due to copyright, but I'll link to it below so you can watch the whole thing. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but it's a father who's singing and dancing to Come and Get Your Love through different periods of his son's life. You know, when he's a baby, when he's a boy. The boy laughs and he dances right along with him. And then when he's older, he's a little too cool and he's kind of embarrassed by it. And then he becomes a dad himself. Now, I saw this ad a few months after my dad passed away. And I talk about my dad a lot on the show. He's the one that shared music with me from the time I was a baby to adulthood. And it's a bond that we've shared throughout my whole life. He told me the stories of the songs. He shared his memories of the songs. And even when we had nothing in common and we were at each other's throats when I was a teenager, music always connected us. Well, this commercial, when it came out, it seemed like a message from the grave. It is my dad to the T. The guy in the commercial, I mean, he looks nothing like my dad, but they have identical personalities and dancing skills. My dad even sang and danced to this exact song. This is what he did with me, he did it with my mom, my brothers and sisters, in public and private, it didn't matter. He did it with me all the time. Just like the son in the commercial, embarrassed me when I was older. That just makes me cry with joy. Every time I hear this song, it makes me cry with a grin from ear to ear. And now I do the same thing with my kids. Music is such a gift. Leave us a comment about this amazing 70s classic. What memories do you have that are tied to it? Let us know in the comments below. Let's have a great discussion. It's such a great song. If you enjoy this content, we invite you to subscribe below. That way you never miss out on any of our daily videos. We'd love to have you as part of our community. talk music all the time. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.